Day one of the World Juniors is well underway, and no surprise, my most anticipated game today was Canada versus Finland. Now, you may notice by my voice, yes, I am quite sick, but this is also my favorite time of year, so I have to come through. After being hosted by my hometown Halifax last year, the games are taking place in Gothenburg, Sweden. Canadian fans, though, are traveling well. They were definitely making the majority of the noise in today's game against Finland, and this is an interesting matchup. Finland is seen as having a weaker lineup than in previous years, with Canada also being forced to basically tear it down. They have one returning player from last year's gold medal team, that's Owen Beck. Otherwise, unless you really closely follow scouting or junior hockey, there's probably at least a few names you haven't heard of before. In my last Mooseheads video, I talked about how 4 players were selected to go to camp, and I anticipated that Mathis Rousseau would be Canada's starting goaltender. Well, he was, and we'll talk about that in a second, but Jake Furlong and Jordan Dumais also made the team. Dumais got lots of playing time today. I thought he looked great. He even had a breakaway, but didn't manage to score. One of the big question marks for any of these international tournaments, especially when dealing with young players, is how the international ice will affect things. For those who don't know, international ice is bigger. It's about 15 feet wider. I definitely noticed a difference in how the power plays were running, and also forwards forechecking a lone D-man going to retrieve a puck could really put even more pressure on if they were fast forward skaters. As someone obviously cheering for Canada, what I worry about is players putting themselves out of position trying to make big hits. Anyway, as for the game itself, on TSN they talked about how it was a pretty even affair. I don't really agree. I thought Canada was quite sloppy, especially on defense, but were overall dominating play. Mathis Rousseau, I thought, might get player of the game. Canada gave up a few bad rushes, and he kind of stood on his head, which, as a Mooseheads fan, I'm very used to. That's the exact same style that the Mooseheads play. He had an incredible glove save in the first, and as a Canadian fan, it's nice because World Junior goalie controversies are so common for Team Canada, so to know that they've got a reliable number one is great after one game, especially after the 5-2 loss Canada took to Czechia on Boxing Day last year. Player of the game for Team Canada, Nate Danielson, got the first goal of the game as he fought to get net front presence, then took a shot off the butt. That'd be all for the first and the second. Jordan Dumais would get that breakaway I talk about, almost score, but it'd be Owen Allard on Team Canada's. They were calling it pretty much a grinding line who would get the second goal in the celebration there on the tap-in. Pretty funny. I mean, if I were 18 and scored, I'd probably act the same way. Finland would get one back on the power play, but in the third, Macklin Celebrini would score. Canada seemed to know it was in. The video coach for Canada definitely knew it was in. I've got to say, Celebrini, who is the projected first overall draft pick, didn't really stand out to me like I hoped he would. Definitely not like Bedard last year, who was just scoring at will, but I'm curious to see what he can put together for the tournament. But at a couple empty netters and one back for Finland, the final score would be 5-2. Again, they said on TSN they didn't think the score was indicative of the quality of play. I certainly did. Team Canada got so many chances in the slot, so many breakaways. I thought the Finnish goaltender Kakko did a great job of keeping them in the game, above all else. One of the big things for Canada too, way too many penalties. They had 6 penalties in total over the game. There was one that was sort of a phantom call, but that's way too many. Overall though, very enjoyable game. In other action today, Slovakia blew up Czechia 6-2. Right now, Norway, who was just promoted, taking Austria's spot, is in a 0-0 tie with the US halfway through the second. So that may be another video for tonight. But that's all I've got right now, guys.